Now, after the Independent National Electoral Commission postponed the governorship elections by 1 week, the day is coming closer than ever. The presidential and National Assembly elections left many issues in the front burner and got Nigerians talking. Candidates who have lost said they're not contesting the results but will not agree with the process, from the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, to the IREV portal. There are many issues INEC must solve before the governorship elections. In different states across the federation, there are hot races for the governorship seat, and INEC has a decent opportunity to right the wrongs it has been accused of. Emotions are on the edge, tension is high, and the people are waiting for the electoral umpire's whistle. All eyes are on INEC's officiating as we analyze what should be done to improve the hotly contested electoral process. And joining me to analyze this is Ademola Bayonle, a political analyst and chairman of DAB Foundation, who joins us from Boston, Massachusetts, in the United States of America. Ademola, welcome to you, and thanks for joining us on PHQ.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, this Saturday, only 28 out of Nigeria's 36 states will be conducting elections. The 1999 Constitution provides that elections are to be conducted every 4 years, but with impeachment, court rulings, inconclusive elections, and some states conducting their elections outside the political cycle, what are your thoughts on these all-important upcoming elections that are scheduled for Saturday?
I'm really excited about the election. The off-cycles elections have also helped us in different ways. We've been able to learn from a number of states, from Shun state elections, from the Ekiti state election, and also the presence of this enormous third force in this political cycle is changing the terrain, and there's a whole lot of surprises that might come in from the Labour Party camp. I mean, the APC are not sitting easy. The PDP are also not doing the same thing. Likewise, it's all out.
Now, Mr. Bayonle, state governors in Nigeria are very powerful. Some have even described them as emperors, but they seem to be less scrutinized than the executive. I mean, if you talk to an average Nigerian, he thinks all the problems of the country are in Abuja, that some certain things that should be the purview of the governor or local government chairman, they think it's a problem with the executive. Why do we allow this sort of executive freedom, to put it? Because just last week we had a sitting governor that sent excavators to a road to damage the road because he didn't want, I mean, his excuse was security reasons. So we've seen the level of impunity of the state executives, and they hardly get a little or no scrutiny.
Well, it's kind of like a hit or miss, sincerely. And I think that all this is, I won't say a fault, but it's just the way our constitution is structured at this point. The executive power both at the federal level and also at the state level. You can also argue that imagine the governor that took excavators to dig out road. If he has more power than that, what do you think is going to be happening in his state? So at this point, I think we need to create a stronger system and make sure that we have our Accountability Act, and our executives are more accountable to the people. It is a little bit lopsided, I must say. If you look at INEC, for instance, though they say they are independent, but the funding is coming from the federal government, the choosing electoral commissioners, and the presiding chairman is also coming from the president. It is a little bit out of place. But again, that is how, for now, our constitution is written, and we must obey all the letters of it.
Now, this Saturday is not just governors that will be elected. Members of state house of assemblies would also be elected at the polls. But quite a number of them have been described as rubber stamp because they hardly question anything the state governors want to do. It's almost like it's ceremonial. Is it about time we begin to scrutinize? And what can we do about our democracy? Because the state governors have literally no checks and balances when it comes to the state assemblies. They just pass any bill the states present to them. Is this good for our democracy?
You see, before this call, this interview, I was actually thinking about that. That is a very we're running a very deficient system when it comes to that. In fact, we are not protecting our democracy like it should be. In Osun State, for instance, out of 28 state assembly members, we have about 25 from a particular party and 3 from the other parties. What you need to do, what you need to have to pass any bill, for instance, is just the two-thirds of the legislators. So you really don't need the 3 from the other parties. The 25 can do whatever they want.
Exactly.
Whatever they want to do it. So I think these are lessons we need to take off from this kind of this type of arrangement. Maybe we need to start having electoral colleges where if a party cannot have more than half, so that at least there can be healthy debates and healthy work across teams to make sure that the policies, bills, and whatever are just not rubber stamped. Also, our electorate needs to be educated. This top to bottom kind of voting pattern is not the best for us. If we have in the House of Assembly, either at the federal level or at the state level, a member of just one single party. For instance, before this election, APC had about 60 senators and 220 60 senators and 220 House of Representative members. Believe me, they do not need any other representative in the House before they can pass a bill or do whatever they want. So one is that I think we should put policies in place to protect people from having an overwhelming majority or protect overwhelming majority parties in the assembly or in the legislative side. Also educate people about voting process, that do not commit these very insane acts of saying top to bottom for everything. Once you do that, by default, you are creating a rubber stamp kind of assembly, which is not healthy for democracy.
Now, Ademola, we have a situation where, of course, multiple parties are contesting for the for membership of the State House of Assemblies. But then you now have a member of opposition, one individual that is going into a majority, a parliament that, like the Osun State example you mentioned. Yes. How much of a difference can this one individual from the outside, another party, make in a parliament where you have over 2/3 majority, in excess of that?
I mean, there are different things you can do if you're in the minority caucus. Aside passing bill, you have responsibility to be an oversight member. So you can be either oversight of defense, budget, what have you. So at least we will expect you to contribute your skill set or your talents in also the oversight function. In passing the bill, I mean, it's an uphill battle having to get in the buy-in of the majority house to do whatever you want to do. But I mean, if you want to also succeed, it's probably one thing that is not impossible to do. Also, I mean, those kind of individuals are also the best whistleblower. You can come out and say, this is actually what is happening in the assembly. Inform the public about what is happening in the assembly that can affect them if the overwhelming majority cannot do that. Because let us know that the assembly or our legislators are not God. You can actually recall them. If we know what is happening, if we are well educated about what is happening in the assembly, and people have also said, let us digitize or put electronic voting method into House of Assembly so that we know who is voting for what, so that the representative back home can adequately assess their legislators and say, what are you voting for? What are the patterns of your vote? It is so that we can protect the minority and also protect people back home. So there are different ways. It's not the end of the world if you find yourself in the minority caucus. I mean, we'll expect you to do more in terms of oversight functions. We'll expect you to do a lot of whistleblowing for us, and we'll expect you to also be our voice and ears in the House. So there are different things we'll expect you to be doing. Yeah.
Now, Ademola, incumbency, looking at this weekend's elections, the governorship elections, incumbency is in a desperate fight not to succumb at a change. If you look at states like Lagos, Ogun, Delta Rivers, and Kano, they're going to be hotly contested. What other battleground states are there? What do you make of the electoral makeup of this states that I mentioned?
Well, it's going to be a hot mess on Saturday, sincerely. I'm specifically looking out for states like Oyo State. In terms of Seyi Makinde, we all know what he did with the G5 committee, and we all know what happened with the four of them who lost most of their senatorial bids and etc. So I think he's the last man standing at this point. So I'm looking forward to how the people of Oyo State will judge him, either based on performance or based on what he has done with the politicking in the state. The Southeast and South-South, of course, we saw the overwhelming vote pattern for the Labour Party during the last presidential election. I'm not sure if they can keep it up. I'm not sure if that voting was just for presidency. I mean, they might change their pattern for governorship. We've had people, even like a lot of their social media influencers, either go in different direction, even when the candidate is going in different direction. So we're not sure how that will be sustained. Definitely in the north, places like Kano, Kaduna, I'm expecting an MPP actually in Kano to probably win, because I mean, they put more than 1 million votes for the presidential election. It had a lot of House of Representative members coming from that region, etc. So, I mean, the surprise for me, sincerely, is I'm looking towards Oyo State in the southwest, and I'm looking towards the performance of Labour Party in the southeast and south-south.
And of course, Lagos is a bit battleground state. In all eyes will be on Lagos State.
Exactly. Lagos State is another place that I'm not sure if you can replicate what happened for the Labour Party in the presidential, but I think Sanwo-Olu has come out and he has done a lot more publicity in the last 2 weeks, post February 25. Personally, I did not know he has even achieved half of what he has achieved, but I think he has put out a lot of things he has done. I think they were complacent. They were
too relaxed.
They were docile. They thought it was the regular Agbaje
a walk in the park.
Yearly walk around. Exactly. So I mean, they also did not see Jando as a very strong competition. But unfortunately or fortunately, I think Labour Party came from the sidelines, and it looks like for the first time Lagos is falling for the presidency. So I think I've seen a couple of people change their mind, say that though they want the presidency to go in this direction, I mean, they probably still want to maintain the alignment between Lagos and Abuja for the federal. But we'll see. Now, Demola,
let's, just before we wrap up our conversation, let's look at INEC. INEC has been in the eye of the storm following its performance in the presidential elections. Now, they've had 3 weeks because of the postponement and the technological drawbacks of the BVAS machine, which the Commission described as technical hitches, put a dent on INEC's performance in the presidential elections. Moreover, Nigerians had been assured by INEC that the results would be transmitted electronically to prevent any suspicion of fraud. Are you expecting these hitches to be a thing of the past by Saturday? And what's your expectation of INEC in its performance this Saturday?
You see, let me say something real quick. I think that a lot of people, we need to educate ourselves about politics, about INEC, about the old political circle and pattern. We do not have electronic voting method. What we have is an hybrid. I mean, the BVAS is just a verification gadget. People say people kill people. Guns don't kill people, right? BVAS is not for voting. It is whatever you put into BVAS that comes out that people say. In the last election, the real issue was not 100% INEC. I mean, INEC have their own part of the blame, but you see, every activity that happens before you actually snap that result and transmit it, I think is actually where the issue is. We saw a lot of people disenfranchised. We saw a lot of vote buying. We saw a lot of, even our security forces snatching ballot box and doing all kind of things. I mean, we even saw people not educated enough, even the polling units or presiding officers, who do not know that they need to snap the result sheets before they leave or they left the polling unit. So a whole lot of things happen at the polling units that I will not totally blame INEC for. I think that we need to first educate ourselves of what is actually the importance of INEC and what they should be performing, but at the same time learn from what has happened. I think we have a very big issue with vote buying. It is a major one in the state. We have a lot of issues with our security apparatus. They are really not doing as much as I think they should do. We're still seeing a lot of snatching ballot box. We're still seeing a whole lot of disenfranchisement. We have a lot of issue with thuggery. We have a lot of issues with underage voting.
I'm happy, Ademola, I'm happy you mentioned those issues, especially security, but we're fast running out of time, and I need to get this question to you before we wrap up. Like you said, this distrust did not only befall INEC alone, people also questioned security officers and during the post-mortem of the presidential elections. They appear to have been overwhelmed or caught napping in the last elections. Some arrests were made nationwide, but the police did not follow up to ensure that the guilty were sanctioned. What do we need to do? What do the security personnel need to do going forward, and how can they improve in their engagement?
I think sincerely, I think they know what to do already. I think they just have different orders. I do not understand. Somebody was telling me before the election that the security agencies will really do well because of the nature of hardship in the state and because of the HENSAs and everything. And I just laughed because I have seen the pattern from Anambra, Ekiti, or Shun. I've seen what they have done, and I wasn't expecting
in the off-cycle elections. Yes,
exactly, and I wasn't expecting too much. You will be surprised that the people, the agencies that people fought for, that say, you know what, we need to review their allowance. We need to make sure they dress properly. We need to take care of them. They are also the ones that we see their videos scattered around, snatching and doing all kind of things, not actually doing their duty on election day. At this point, I think it's more of a structural problem.
Okay.
I do not that they do not know what to do. We need to know who is giving the orders, because I mean they are regimented. They listen to the last orders. Anybody you see in police uniform or in the military uniform, the orders must come from somewhere. So we need to start asking them questions: who gave the order and why they are doing what they are doing. Sincerely, I think we don't need to waste time saying they should do it. They know what to do. They are just complicit at this point.
On that note, I'd like to say thank you to you, Ademola Bayonle, Chairman of DAB Foundation and political analyst. It's been a pleasure talking to you on PHQ today. Thank you for your time and insight.
Thank you so much for having me. All the best on Saturday.
Thank you, and you too.